Hello, everyone. It's a pleasure to be here today with you. Hello, Devconnect Istanbul. Hello, everyone joining through Twitter, YouTube, Discord, and LinkedIn. I'm Patrick Dinghart. I lead the marketing community team at the Oasis Foundation, and it's a pleasure to welcome you to this Devconnect online meetup, where we have a lot of really cool stuff to share with the Oasis and the Ethereum communities. I'll start the program today giving you an overview of what we as a layer 1 protocol stand for and some of the key highlights of this amazing year so far. So let's go to the next slide, please. There you go. Why are we doing all of this, right? So we ask ourselves, why do we work so hard? Building this pioneering tech stack, partnering with the industry, fostering ecosystem projects. It's so much work. Well, it's all part of our vision for a better tomorrow with data ownership by rights and privacy by design for everyone, everywhere. And I believe you will agree that this vision is directly correlated to that of Satoshi, right, when everything started, and all the builders of a better internet since then, which brings us all together. And I think that's extremely, extremely important. That's why I think our mission is to empower developers, users, and many other stakeholders to democratize the data economy with programmable confidentiality. And this innovative idea, remarkable idea, I should say, of programmable confidentiality is central to what we do as a protocol. This is the very concept behind our theme of smart privacy, whereby the idea of confidentiality is not on or off, zeros or ones, but really a spectrum that users and devs have the power to determine what works for them. In some applications, like in DeFi, it could mean that a DEX could protect users from being front-run through MEV protection. In games, for instance, it could mean that a game can be fully on-chain, which makes it more Web3 native and also delivers better performance. So there are many, many applications. We'll talk a lot about these applications in this meetup. But how about impact? How have we, Oasis, impacted the Web3 world this year? Well, you see, there's a lot, right? There is really a lot. It has been an incredible year for Oasis. I mean, I've been with the team for more or less 5 months, give or take. And, you know, the results are incredible across all the products that we've launched this year, extremely important products. The engineering stack that we are delivering and creating, improving developer experience, how our ecosystem is flourishing with partners and projects, the fantastic engagement of the community, our brand that is now much more strong than ever before, and all the events that we organized. So I'll talk a little bit about them, but you will also hear from our guests today, so I won't give everything away here right now. But in terms of product, I think we launched extremely important products this year, 2 important solutions in Oasis Sapphire and the Oasis Privacy Layer, or OPL. Some call it OPL as well. Oasis Sapphire is the first and only confidential EVM solution in production today, which makes it a compelling solution to be used for any project that is looking into smart privacy. Likewise, OPL is also ready and already being used for projects that have been built in the Ethereum ecosystem, but want to easily add confidentiality parameters for their users as kind of a plug-and-play solution. There are many other points, but we'll go to the next slide of engineering. So my colleague Tadej will shortly talk more about this, but in terms of engineering highlights, I could point out, for instance, the greater focus on developer experience, and we can expect even more improvements for the next year. We're seeing a lot of action from engineers and users. You can see the figures there are quite relevant. And we have this upcoming launch of Eden on mainnet. So we have already launched it on testnet. And earlier today, voting started for Eden, which will bring a lot of benefits for network participants and users. But today we'll talk a little bit more about that later on. Moving on to the ecosystem highlights. So as you can see, lots of partners, lots of engagement across different ecosystems even, and native ecosystem projects in Oasis as well, which makes us extremely happy to see this movement, especially in the second half of the year, in terms of grantees and new partners. For instance, Ocean launching their product powered by Oasis Sapphire. We'll have Trent, the founder of Ocean, speaking later on today. We have also launched, or about to launch, it has launched on testnet, our first DEX on running on Sapphire, which is Illuminex, and you will also hear from their CEO today. Niv, the newest member of our team and head of BD at the Oasis Foundation, will share more about this very soon. Then if we move to the community slide, we can be, I think, extremely grateful to everyone in the community who support this project so passionately. I mean, it has been a difficult year for everybody in crypto, but we have been focusing on building not only products and engineering stack and partnerships, but also getting the support from the community, people that really show how much they care about the fundamentals that the Oasis network offers. So we'll soon reach 500,000 community members spread out across the globe with very strong regional channels as well, a strong focus on developer channels, and even a new learning program, the Oasis Academy, which I highly recommend everybody to take a look at the beta version and also provide comments for us to improve it. And then as we move on to brand impact, well, we have seen significant impact in terms of our brand across the ecosystem and the wider Web3 world. We have been decentralizing decision-making also in terms of marketing. So have been asking the community to vote on several points that will eventually, decide the way that our branding moves forward, which is, in my mind, extremely important in a crypto project. We've also seen fantastic results across PR and social media engagement, and I'm very happy to say that we are the #1 protocol in the segment of confidentiality in blockchain today. So it's something that surely makes us very proud, but also makes us achieve even more. We cannot rest on our laurels for sure. And that's why we've been present for the most important events in crypto this year. We have organized our own events. We have organized our own hackathon, which was extremely successful. And we have organized many, many online events, 37 so far this year, which means almost one every week. So it's really hard work from everybody in Oasis. So speaking of events, let's go through our agenda today. We have a lot coming up for you guys. So we'll start off with more technical content. So as I mentioned, our director of engineering today will talk more about the engineering highlights, and then Harry, technical product manager, will give us a demonstration of account abstraction using our tech stack. We will then focus on tech adoption with Niv, as I mentioned, zooming in on the BD highlights, and then Coinsender and Crust talking about their experience with Oasis Sapphire, which will surely be super interesting for everyone to hear. Then we will talk, we'll have more focus on the DeFi space. So we'll have a panel with Illuminex and Sintler, and then Trent from Ocean will show their product Predictor, which was developed using Oasis Sapphire. We'll then move on and talk about cross-chain integration with Seller and Alright Chain, Ethereum, Cosmos, and beyond. So without further ado, I'd like to welcome Tadej Yanes, Head of Engineering at the Oasis Foundation. Tadej, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Patrick, and thank you for this nice introduction and the overview of 2023 so far. Yeah, agreed. Like, it has been an amazing year, and what more to come. So let's just get started. So I think the most exciting thing is the upcoming Eden upgrade. It's really like the landmark Oasis network upgrade, which features Oasis Core 23.0. Mind you, it has been in development since the Damask upgrade in April 2022, so it's really a big upgrade with like 1.5 years of development, so a lot of amazing features. I'll talk about that in a second. If we go to the previous slide. Yeah, so the timeline so far, we already upgraded to Oasis Core 23.0 in October. That has been successfully completed, and the testnet has been running without hinge for the past couple of weeks. And for the mainnet, it's actually the voting day started today, and it will be open approximately 1 week. And if the voting passes, mind you, we are a distributed network, so the foundation has no control over the voting. It's up to the validators and of course the delegators. So like the validators' power corresponds to the people who delegate to them to decide if they want to support this landmark upgrade. I'm sure they will. And if the vote passes, the mainnet upgrade is scheduled for November the 29th. And let me speak about the name also here. So at Oasis, we always found the rose symbol to be the thing that this sort of symbolizes what we strive for, because sub rosa in Latin meant in secret. And we also believe in a future where not everything on blockchain is public and some things can be kept secret. So our upgrades have been named by rose flowers. So for the Cobalt upgrade, it was the Cobalt rose. For the D upgrade, it was the Damask rose, a sort of desert rose originating from the city of Damask. And for this one, I'm so excited we chose the Eden rose as the name, and I think it's really corresponds to where we see Oasis as a network, basically like a paradise between other blockchains, thriving and boosting. So let's overview the features of the Eden upgrade. Next slide, please. Yeah, we want to increase decentralization and empower everyone on the network to have a say. So in this upgrade, after this upgrade, delegators will be able to vote on on-chain governance proposals. Up to now, only validators have been able to vote on proposals for upgrades. And from now on, anyone who is staking will be able to override, cast their vote. By default, it will be the vote of the validator you're delegating to. But from this upgrade on, you'll be able to override that decision. Next up, it's voting on network parameter changes. So up till now, validators or voters could only vote on specific types of upgrade proposals, but now it will be easier to change parameters, for example, the staking reward schedule, or the number of validators in the set, or any other parameters that are set in the Genesis file. And then moving on from this on-chain governance, there's a lot of improvements in terms of our paratimes. So layer 2 blockchain runtimes that run on our powerful consensus layer 1. So currently, confidential paratimes have a block delay when querying confidential state. This is due to the fact that these paratimes need to independently verify finalization in the consensus layer to guard against attacks. And in this upcoming version, we will introduce same block execution. So as soon as the block will get finalized on the consensus layer, paratimes will be able to obtain the latest state root hash and verify this state without delay. So hopefully this reduces latency for the app users as well as the app developers, and improves both user experience and developer experience. And next up is instantaneous paratime upgrades. So that means no mandatory downtime of 1 epoch, so approximately 1 hour, for upgrades of confidential paratimes. And next up is security and other improvements to robustness. So in terms of paratime robustness and performance, we did a series of modifications to enhance the robustness of runtimes, better response mechanisms for SGX TCB recovery events. We added support for new SGX platforms, and we have improved proof validation within runtimes. And for scenarios such as node failures, we now have better mechanisms so that the downtime is reduced and performance is not affected if some nodes malfunction for whatever reason. And ephemeral state and key rotations, they are important to mitigate the effects of potentially compromised key manager nodes. So we now support generations for state keys. For example, paratimes can now rotate these keys daily and use new keys for newer state. This facilitates free encryption, and in the event of a TCB recovery, it helps to partially mitigate the effects of compromised nodes, if there be any. And furthermore, we have improvements to node operators. So one is state sync through our enhanced P2P stack. So if a node is running for a while, it will accrue some state, and syncing a new node will then require to replay or sync all this state. But with state sync, it's possible to start syncing from a trusted height and a trusted hash of a block. And from there on, like the P2P stack will tell you from which nodes you can sync. And basically, like your full node will be up and running in no time. And we further try to improve the node operator experience by now adding ability to distribute paratime bundles. So for paratimes, the node needs separate binaries, and this upgrade lays foundation for Oasis node to actually distribute these bundles automatically. So this update doesn't enable this feature, but it will add that capacity so we can enable it in subsequent upgrades. So really very exciting about this, and hopefully, fingers crossed, others recognize these improvements as well, and we'll get a big yes on the vote. Next slide, please. Yeah, so on the Oasis Explorer front, mind you, it was launched in July. with Sapphire support. We enabled Emerald support just like last month, and we are currently working on two improvements. One is NFT support, so you'll be able to see, like for ERC21s, ERC20s, the verification status of the contract, and then the token overview page where it will clearly state like the number of token transfers, the total supply, number of holders. You'll also be able to browse these token transfers and so on. It will also, of course, display if there's any attached asset that can be displayed like an image. So it will be on par with other explorers. And the other exciting feature is ABI-based parsing. So keep in mind that until a source of a smart contract is uploaded, the indexer, our Oasis Nexus, is not able to actually understand the events, AVM event logs. So what we are adding is that after a smart contract source is uploaded, the indexer can go back and retroactively update the past events based on the ABI it now knows about the smart contract. So those CVM event logs from the past will become more meaningful after you upload the source code. And the other exciting thing is we are working on consensus support. So Nexus parts, the indexer parts are in development, and the UI UX for the Explorer is in final stages, and the front-end development on this will begin soon. So really excited about the future of Oasis Explorer and Nexus, the API and the indexer behind it. And if we move on to the next slide, yeah, it's Oasis Wallets. So we just recently released Oasis Wallet 1.8.0, which enables pair-time transfers. So it's easier to deposit or withdraw rows from your Sapphire or other pair-times. It has a new settings page. It has an address book. So like if you are frequently dealing with some accounts, you can easily remember them. The browser extension will also be upgraded to this common shared code base. Really excited about this. So the browser extension will get new features such as fiat on-ramp, improved address book settings, all this. And we are also near completion of the development of the mobile version, also built from this common code base. It will be serving iOS and Android, available in their respective app stores. And it will also support Ledger through Bluetooth. Really excited about it. And then let's not forget, we also have Oasis CLI. Release 0.5.0 adds two exciting things. One is like we support direct pair-time layer delegations there. And in addition to ED25519 and SecP keys, we also now support the SR25519 keys there. Next slide, please. Yeah, and in terms of the actual developer experience, we are seriously investing in Sapphire demo dApps, which we hope will, in more practical terms, highlight the really novel things that are available in Sapphire or OPL, Oasis Privacy Layer, so that both users will be able to see what it brings, as well as it will be a good starting point for developers so that they are able to take our code, use it as a building block, or have an easy onboarding to the code base so they can understand it easily. And also, like, it's ready there on GitHub. They can fork it and just start playing with it. So one of the demos is account abstraction, with which Harry will present soon. And we are also working on other ones. I listed two more. So confidential voting that's already there, and we'll work on a key manager as a service also in the near future. So I'm really excited about these things, and a big warm, or let's say a big warm hello to Istanbul and everybody who's watching online.
Very well said. Very well said, Tadej. Thank you so much. Amazing developments from the engineering side. And as you mentioned, now we'll go to Harry Robertson, our technical product manager for Oasis Sapphire and OPL, live from Istanbul. Welcome, Harry.
Hey, how are you guys doing? So we're live at Devconnect in Istanbul. It's been a busy couple of days so far, and we've got a busy rest of the week ahead of us. But so first off, I want to present the account abstraction demo. So if we skip on to the next slide. So just to start off, if you do want to try this out, you can go to playground.oasis.io, and we've got many different demos, but what you want to look for is the authcn-demo. And today I'll be walking you through the process of what is account abstraction, why we need it, how it's we use the Sapphire unique features to do it a little bit differently and solve some problems, and I'll run through the demo for you as well. So we move on to the next slide. So what is account abstraction? Well, the general idea that we were trying to solve was to make onboarding of users a lot quicker. So there's no need to install wallets, and it's a lot less hassle. So if you think of you're trying to get someone on your site who might not be Web3 native, or who might not have gas on your network, or might not have the right browser plugins installed. Well, really the best experience we're looking for is to be able to open the app on your phone or your computer, and it works out of the box with no plugins, and it should be really, really simple to integrate. And another thing that's come up again and again is the onboarding experience for people who are setting up new keys for the first time. It can be quite a daunting experience. So instead, we want to use functionality that's like native to most devices, so pass keys, WebAuthn, Touch ID, and the biometrics, just to make it a little bit more consistent, rather than being MetaMask and having to create a seed phrase and so on and so forth. So we move on to the next slide. So the different authentication implementations, I've already mentioned Touch ID and Android biometrics, and that's all comes under the WebAuthn standard. But as part of one of the unique functionalities of Sapphire is that because you have confidential data, you can have a normal username and password to log into the website. You can also use TOTP code. So if you're used to typing in the 6-digit number as a second factor to verify it's you, that's only possible with confidential storage on the contracts, or with some kind of ZK solution like that. So we're looking at lots of different authentication methods, but right now we're focusing on WebAuthn and the P256 curve, which we support natively in Sapphire. So we move on to the next slide. So a couple of different use cases. I've already mentioned making it really, really easy to onboard users, so it works out of the box with a fresh device. But also generally account abstraction, if you control what can be signed by an account, because contracts on Sapphire can sign transactions for you, we would be able to start implementing accounts like transaction limitations, or being able to log in with your Google ID, and generally making onboarding a little bit simpler, so you can create a Web3 account without needing the plugins. And these are areas we're exploring. So we move on to the next slide, please. So generally speaking, what is account abstraction? Well, right now, many new wallets are implementing Touch ID and WebAuthn. Some still need a browser plugin to be able to sign your account. and they might still need a private key, but generally it comes down to who's paying for gas and how do we make this as simple as possible to submit transactions on as many different chains as possible without having to worry about moving gas in there in the first place. If we move to the next slide, please. And specifically, we're using Sapphire to tackle some of these problems. So when it comes to who's paying gas, well, the contracts themselves can create their own key pair, which can be, you can ask the contract to sign a transaction to pay the registration for your account sign up, rather than having to set up a paymaster or having to run a relay or doing it through a centralized service. And with WebAuthn, like one of the unique features we've implemented is that as part of the registration process, you can generate key pairs from the contracts. So we support ED25519, the K256 curve, and the P256 curve, which is in NIST B Suite. And with those, we can either generate the key pairs or we can verify the key pairs. And the P256 curve is specifically used by YubiKey in the FIDO2 standard, which is used across Android biometrics and iOS Touch ID and WebAuthn in general. So with WebAuthn and passkeys, this is a key pair that's generated on your device, and it's held in that little enclave, and it's secure, and it's basically like physical hardware security to prove that you are who you say you are, and they can't be leaked off the device. So we move on to the next slide, please. So what does the demo do? Well, I'll run through it fairly quickly. So we create a user account, which is linked to a username. When you register, that's creating a key pair for the user, and that key pair is managed exclusively by the Sapphire smart contract. So you can't extract the key out of the contract, and you can implement controls based on that if you want to extend the demonstration. And you can request, using your biometric authentication or your security key, that the contract signs on behalf of the user when they request sort of authentication. So move on to the next slide, please. And generally, the way we're looking at it as a demo is you have your third-party website, and you want the user to sign up and create a Web3 account. They might not have MetaMask installed, so you redirect them to our account abstraction demonstration, where the user performs the registration, they do the biometric authentication, that submits the transaction on chain, and then you're redirected back to the third-party website with the confirmed registration details. So I will do a fairly quick demonstration. And so if I click on the register button here, and ask me to create a user, so I'm going to say Devconnect 123. I press the registration button. And it's and normally it's supposed to, I'm just using a colleague's computer at the moment, and I have my hardware device clicked in here, and it should be asking me to authenticate with my hardware device, but this time it's
okay. That's okay. Skapa because it says you need to make a pin. Your pin isn't exactly the same.
We're having some minor technical difficulties here. I literally tried the demos straight before the stream, and it worked perfectly. And now, just at the absolute worst moment, this Windows computer has decided that it's not going to play nicely with the demo, which is this is a great experience. So I'm going to have to stop the sharing at the moment, but we will provide you with the the URL for the demos, and it does work on Android. It does work on Firefox and Chrome on the browser, and it does work with iOS and security keys such as YubiKey. And I think that's I'm going to have to leave it there today, unfortunately.
That's not a problem, Harry. I mean, these are the joys of a live demo. But
Yes,
I'm sure that we'll have.
The fairies have come along and made mischief.
Exactly. But we'll definitely have you on another online event for you to share this demo very soon.
Cool. Thank you. And goodbye.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Harry. So now we'll go to Neve, head of BD at the Oasis Foundation and our newest member in the team. Welcome, Neve.
Hey, Patrick, can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear loud and clear. Great
to be here, and great to meet all of you virtually. Happy to be here. So to give you a very quick, I joined Oasis a month and a half ago, and I'm very excited to be a part of this exciting journey of enabling privacy and confidential computing technology for the blockchain ecosystem. A quick intro about myself. I've been in the space for the last 7 years, mostly within the Ethereum ecosystem and with Consensus. And for the last 1.5 years, I've been doubling down on the privacy verification technology space, as I strongly believe that will be this will be a major part of enabling the next wave of adoption. And I think the demand for this technology will only increase from both institution, application builders, and end user. I've known the Oasis project since inception a few years ago, and I think they've been doing some great stuff, especially launching Sapphire and OPL in the last year. And I will give you a very quick overview of what we see so far in terms of usage. And we'll probably try to keep it short so you can hear from the project themselves about how they work with Oasis. But the headline for me from collaborating for being in this ecosystem for the last few months is that we see a strong uptick in interest across different verticals and use cases, which is very interesting. Specifically DeFi, we work with CoinSender on an interesting use cases of confidential payroll distribution. As Patrick mentioned, Illuminex is a DEX that launched on our testnet that enabling confidential text use case. We have in our grants program pipeline a new grantee that work on developing an application for confidential trade strategies and logic, which is a very interesting use case as well. We are actively talking with an interesting project in the gaming space, so we see a lot of potential there. We have a new NFT project in our grants program pipeline that we are working with, and the use case here is about sealed bid auctions. And also in the prediction, we as you already familiar with Ocean Protocol, which went live a few months, which is also a very strong use case. In parallel to what we see in terms of use cases and usage, we are, can you move to the next slide? We are continue to boost up the builders and end user experience with enabling more infrastructure and tooling around Sapphire and OPL. That includes collaborating with projects that enabling data indexing with Covalent, OPL enablement with Stellar and Orachain, decentralized storage, and cross-chain liquidity with Synter, which is a very interesting project, enabling synthetic assets across different chain, and on and off ramp experience, a better experience that we try to offer by partnering with Transact. And we have a bunch more projects in the pipeline that we are exploring and in active discussion to see how we can onboard them to better enable you, the community, the builders, to better enable you a better experience and more seamless experience building and using the network and integrate OPL. So that's basically all from my side for now. I'm excited to take, again, I'm very excited to be part of this. I urge any one of you that's thinking about building an application to consider confidential computing and privacy feature from the get-go. Oasis has been around for a long time. It's a very strong team in terms of technical capabilities. And it's and I think that will really help differentiate projects going on. And I'm welcome welcome any one of you to reach out and connect with us. So back to you, Patrick.
Thank you so much, Niv. Niv, who has a lot of experience in the Ethereum ecosystem, several years indeed, working with consensus and across the ecosystem with many projects. So thank you so much, and we're all looking forward to what you're bringing to the table in terms of BD.
Yeah. I'm looking forward to take all of this great work and messaging to the entire world, and hopefully get to Oasis more integrated in different ecosystem.
Wonderful. Very well. Now we're moving to our next session. It's a panel hosted by our very own Matej Yanes, BD manager, and also counting with some wonderful partners, Lud, head of BD at Crust, and Vadim Bestayev, director of strategy at CoinSender. So welcome, everybody. It's a pleasure to have you on.
Hey, everyone. Great to be here. Hey, Lud. Hey. Vadim, is it Vadim, or I'm not sure about the pronunciation, Vadim. Okay, perfect. Yeah, so coming to you from Istanbul, me here and Emre here, doing, all the heavy lifting. I'm joking. It's not that heavy, but it's quite intense. We have a lot of things going on. It's going to be a lot of speaking engagements in the following week. And I think, Lud, you're also here, so hopefully we are able to catch up in person as well.
Yeah, that's correct. I just made it to the apartment to join the stream. I thought it would be a little bit busy to do it at the conference, but I see you can do it, so I should have done it as well.
We just barely find a good spot, but yeah, let's get it started. So we have Lud from Crust and Vadim from CoinSender, and maybe Lud, since I had you on, we can start with you. Can you tell us a little bit, about Crust Network? What is it? How it's connected with decentralized storage, and maybe then just go into how you utilize Sapphire to enable, the privacy aspects to your product.
Yeah, 100%. Crust Network is a purpose-built blockchain for decentralized storage and decentralized hosting. In fact, we utilize the IPFS network, and we provide our own infrastructure with around 1,500 individual nodes and an overall storage capacity of around 650,000 terabytes. And we deploy our services to many different ecosystems. We initially are built on Substrate, but also have a fully compatible EVM protocol. We deploy cross-chain smart contracts to many other layer 1 ecosystems to make those services usable by builders and end users in the most native and easy way possible. Our integration with Oasis is in terms of one of our flagship products. It's called Crust Files. Crust Files is basically a Dropbox-like application to store your data, your personal files, via a very easy, simple to use UI. Everybody can use it directly, interact with it with their MetaMask, with their Web3 wallet. We accept many other wallets, and the thing with IPFS, is that all data on IPFS by default is public data. So if you want to upload your data, you get a CID number, but everybody who is in possession of the CID can basically retrieve the data. So if you want to keep your data private and confidential on IPFS, you have to make sure that you encrypt this data before you upload it. Before our integration with Oasis, we had like a simple client-side based encryption process where the keys will be stored locally on the user device. which obviously brought some issues looking at user experience. First of all, accessing the file was always device dependent. So because the keys were stored locally, if you want to access your files from or decrypt your files from another device, you need to export your keys, import it to your new device, and so on. Obviously, that's because there are some barriers in the user experience which we want to get rid of. And that's why we, for example, introduced the encryption via Oasis Sapphire. And we do that by basically, storing the encryption key not on the client side, but on the Oasis blockchain, where they can be retrieved from anywhere as long as the user log in with their account. The cool thing about it is that on the one hand, users can now access your data from anywhere and anytime. And the other benefit is that it reduces risks of mishandling the key on user side. Let's say the device breaks, or the user deletes the keys on his side, then he never will be able to access his data again. And by having the keys stored in a secure environment on Oasis, this can't happen, and we basically can protect the user from loss of his data. Yeah, that's quick summary.
No, thank you for that, Lud. I can attest as well. I tried your product, and the UX is pretty nice, and to have that option that while you have access to your MetaMask, you can always retrieve the encryption keys. That's basically, it simplifies a lot the UX of it. Obviously there's still more to go, but every little step counts towards getting people, more comfortable with using the products and all that. And thank you for that. I think I'm gonna now switch to Vadim, and then maybe we can come back to any common subjects. So Vadim can also tell us a little bit more about CoinCenter. We heard that it's using Sapphire privacy for confidential payrolls, and Vadim, if you can speak a little bit more, what CoinCenter is in totality of the product, and how you utilize Sapphire for the specific use case.
Absolutely, sure. Thank you very much. Nice to be here, and unfortunately online, but still as good as possible. So yeah, jumping in, speaking about CoinCenter, what we build is a ultimate token management solution. We are aimed at simplify main and basic, as well as some custom features that can be, and functions that can be performed with tokens in general. And this has been kind of the ultimate goal we're working on. And now we position the tool mainly as the tool for the accounting based on the blockchain, as well as the tool for testnets, airdrops, multi-address transactions, generation of tokens, generation of NFTs, and things like that, supporting multiple networks. And jumping deeper into what we built on such amazing solution as Sapphire Paradigm together, is that there are two main cases that I would like to jump in. And first one would be the email escrow-based transaction, which is kind of innovative thing and kind of clickbait sounds, but it's actually helpful for people to not have a generated wallet address, copy pasted every time, rather than just simple email. And it just works as simple as the sender inputs the email and all the data of the transaction, including the amount. And the link goes to the email, where the recipient can link the email, link the wallet via the link. Sorry for that, but it's just what it is. And simple as that. The wallet becomes the recipient, and what's helping Sapphire with is keeping the transaction data private, considering the fact that our tool is used by a lot of Web3 and Web2 businesses. It's kind of essential information to keep it safe. And the other thing we built together, which is, I would say, basis to a lot of things could be built besides that and after those words, but we built an affiliate system that calculates referral payouts to webmasters or whoever works with us for their share of the revenue they generated for the project. and that's done with the old on-chain calculations, which are remaining as secure as possible, being on-chain itself, at the same time as being as private as possible, that only user can see their own stats and the data, who they engage and all that. So I would say this is an amazing thing, and I'm excited to see our team playing around some other use cases we're working on with the bridge, potential bridging features and other stuff. A lot of more things to build around that. So happy to be part of the ecosystem, and that's kind of what I would like to tell here.
Yeah, thank you, Vadim, for that, and we're happy to have you in our ecosystem. I mean, it's an interesting use case, definitely. Especially, I think there is a shift now moving towards, you can have transparency without having everything visible, right? You can still be transparent and use in terms of verifiability, right? But at the same time, there are things that you want to keep private, and I think the applications are now gaining traction. People are all realizing that we're more and more users coming on. So if there's anything else you want to ask from your side, you can do it now. If not, I think we're already past our dedicated time, so we're going to have to wrap it up. But yeah, Patrick, how we're looking on time?
Looking good. I mean, you can wrap up.
Okay, perfect. Any last thoughts, Lud or Vadim?
No, it's just great to be here. Thanks for time spent here listening to what we have to say, and yeah, that's great to remain the part of the ecosystem and build together. By the way, we are very much open and happy to consider any kind of custom things we could build together for any kind of projects in the ecosystem operating. Let's do it together. Let's build and close the gaps that there are, and our team is more than happy to work on that. So let's keep in touch.
Excellent thought. We're definitely gonna explore more use cases. And you, Lud, sorry, yeah.
Yeah, thanks again as well for having us on here to be able to present our use case. I believe there's a lot of potential between data storage and privacy. So I'm looking forward to more collaborations with Oasis in the future. And I want to encourage everybody to try out Crossed Files. Oasis users can just log in with their Oasis account. It's totally for free. You can upload your files, try it out, and enjoy.
Awesome. Yeah, we're gonna be discussing this in the following days, Lud, when we see each other, for sure. Thank you again, both of you, and yeah, back to you, Patrick.
Awesome. Thank you so much, guys. Really fascinating use cases. Great to have you in the ecosystem. And we continue with Mate live from Istanbul. And now we welcome Liza from Illuminex and CEO of Illuminex, and Ritwik Rudra, co-founder and CEO at Synther. Welcome,
Hey,
guys.
Hi, guys.
Hello, everyone.
Hi, guys. How are you?
Great to have you. So, yeah, we have Ritwik from Synther. Yes. Where are you coming in? Where are you coming in from?
I'm in Dubai right now.
Oh, nice.
Yes.
And Liza is keeping a more anonymous role, so I'm not going to ask.
I will be a dog today, yeah.
No worries. Great to have you guys here. So yeah, similar to, I think the best would be if we start with a short presentation of the products. So for the listeners that don't know Illuminex and Synther yet, they get an overview. So I guess ladies first. So I'm gonna let Eliza speak first, and then you'll go after her. All right. Liza, if you can talk a little bit, about what Illuminex is, it's I think it's going to be the first confidential DEX deploying on Sapphire, and yeah, we're excited to see that. We're now on testnet, so maybe you can share more how things are looking, how you're utilizing Sapphire for the special features that you're introducing into the DEX model.
Yeah, thank you. Hi, everyone, and hello, Istanbul. I recently was in Istanbul, maybe 1 week ago, approximately. Got back 1 week ago. And thanks for all the listeners and guests for joining today. And really, really excited about the Sapphire ecosystem development and growth, because we already see decent growth at the beginning, because it's really, really early stage at this moment. So let me briefly dive into what we're building at Illuminex and why we're so excited about what Sapphire brings to everyone. So Illuminex is a regulatory compliant, confidential, multi-chain decentralized exchange powered by Oasis Sapphire and supported, as you all know, by the Oasis Foundation through the grant we've received earlier this year. And we're building the most convenient solution for Web3 community to move and swap their assets in a private manner across different chains. So we're utilizing Sapphire EVM technology to make it possible. So all the operations are going through the Sapphire smart contracts, even when you're bridging for or swapping, like let's say from Ethereum to BNB chain, for example. So in the past, when you had to, you had to move your when you needed to move your assets between different chains, like for instance, let's say from Bitcoin to USDT on Ethereum, you had to use a centralized solution that was controlling, the data, tracking your transaction in history, and etc. So now with Illuminex, you can do it in a decentralized manner without being worried about your fund safety, and as well as control your confidentiality level. So for example, you can specify different outputs of the swap product portions on different chains with different confidential transactions buffer and evading time. So, and this use case allows us to bring the Sapphire benefits to the entire crypto ecosystem, not only existing Sapphire users. And apart from that, Illuminex provides a strong use case for traders who want to experience a high-frequency trading without revealing their sensitive financial data to public, like, for example, balances and like trading history. We allow users to wrap their tokens into confidential wrap tokens to move, trade, and pay with the Oasis Sapphire paradigm to maximize their confidentiality for their daily needs. And this is the essential use case implementation that is in a huge demand, we believe, and it wouldn't be possible without Sapphire TE technology. So yeah, that's briefly about Illuminex.
No, yeah, thank you for that overview. I agree here. The trading history in the normal space, you don't see it, right? You can try to see it in the books, but not so clearly in a blockchain explorer, right? So it should be that way, right? And maybe you can add, Ritvik, what you're doing in Sinter and why you also partner with Illuminex and how this all connects, right?
Absolutely. So thank you for having me here. Yes, of course, we work closely with the Oasis ecosystem as well as Liza as well. So, and a big shout out to all the viewers who've logged in as well. So, Synther, we're building an chain liquidity solution using highly solvent and omni-chain synthetic assets. So highly solvent because this liquidity is backed by highly liquid short tail assets such as ETH, USDC, and USDT. And omni-chain because the protocol's architecture, which is, I would say, probably the only omni-chain architecture at this point in time when it comes to dealing with synthetic assets, enables the protocol to mint a fully backed synthetic asset on any chain against a unified pool of multi-chain collateral, right? So imagine a user who has collateral staked on ETH, BNB, and Avalanche, right? Can easily, against this combined value of collateral, mint a synthetic asset within the Sapphire ecosystem and just play around within the Sapphire ecosystem, etc., right? Without having to move the liquidity from, say, ETH, BNB, or Avalanche, he or she can quite seamlessly access the benefits of the Sapphire ecosystem. So these omni-chain synthetic assets, in a nutshell, enable capital efficient and secure cross-chain transfer of value without using, I would say, any sort of conventional bridge solution, right? That's what we're doing in a nutshell. And the way we're working closely with the Illuminex techs is, so like I mentioned, a user can actually stake a bunch of collateral on any network, mint a synthetic asset. Now that he or she can easily mint, say, a synthetic rose, for that matter, within the Sapphire ecosystem. And what we're doing with Illuminex is we'll be setting up a synthetic rose and a rose pair on the Illuminex DEX. And what this DEX will effectively allow a user to do is, if a user has minted a synthetic asset within the Sapphire ecosystem, which could probably be any synthetic asset, he or she can simply swap it for a synthetic rose on Synther itself natively, which is like a slippage-free swap at Oracle prices. And this synthetic rose can then be swapped out for rose to enter the entire Oasis ecosystem as well. So if, say, this pair, which is going to be effectively a low IL pair because it's effectively a pegged asset pair, which is set up on Illuminex, this acts as, I would say, a last mile sort of a swap, which the user can use, a highly efficient last mile transaction, which a user can use to swap out from, say, a synthetic asset into, say, a Sapphire native asset. So that's what we're doing. And that's how we're working closely with Illuminex.
Yeah, that's awesome. So, are you implementing also any privacy features?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So the way we see it is because this omnichannel liquidity that we are creating, right? This liquidity acts as, I would say, a foundation for a very, very deep sort of DeFi ecosystem to be created on top of this, right? And there's obviously a bunch of use cases. So we're exploring perps, we're exploring derivatives, we're even exploring exotics. And the moment you start building an entire DeFi ecosystem on this liquidity layer, I would say privacy-focused transactions become very, very important, because the moment you have a privacy layer on which users can trade on, so even if you have a bunch of collateral sitting on ETH, you can actually mint, or you can take a long short position within the Sapphire ecosystem, right? So you can have your entire trading experience, even though your margin is sitting on ETH, you can actually have a trading experience within the Sapphire ecosystem. And because of this, a liquidity, I would say, a privacy layer acts as a deterrent for front running, which effectively makes the trading experience more efficient. It makes your top losses, it makes your stop losses tighter. It makes for higher profits for traders. So it just makes a more efficient and a seamless trading experience, which is why we're working closely with the Oasis ecosystem, and which is why I'm personally very, very bullish on privacy-focused ecosystems, to be honest, and which is why the collaboration is very, very deep with the Oasis ecosystem. So yeah.
Yeah, I completely agree here. So if you have if you go long or short a certain asset, right? If people see that on chain, they can go chase your order. See where you're
Absolutely.
basically you get
And
liquidated.
in TradFi, exactly. And in TradFi, you have these dark pools, right, which large sort of market makers take advantage of, and they're effectively keeping their trades hidden. But there needs to be a solution like this for DeFi as well. And I think one of the speakers earlier was mentioning that this is going to be the next wave of adoption. I mean, privacy with a balance in transparency, because you can still be transparent, like you mentioned, while being private. This will probably usher in a new kind of adoption, and which is going to be a new spurt in DeFi growth, to be honest, which is why this is something that we are supremely bullish on. So you don't have to worry about moving your collateral. Your collateral could be sitting on any network. And because of Syntha's architecture, you stake your collateral anywhere, and you take a long shot without letting anyone know within the Sapphire ecosystem. So yeah.
Yeah, that's exactly the beauty of this. You can use this privacy as a plug and play solution. But yeah, maybe we can. I think we're gonna have to wrap this session up. But yeah, we can let Liza maybe add some final thoughts as well on if you have anything to add on the private swaps that you are implementing as well. Where do you see the biggest importance there, Liza?
Yeah, sure. I believe actually, and the entire team, we believe that privacy and self-custody are essential human rights that everyone deserves. So, and the blockchain technology itself was brought us closer to this point, to the ultimate point. But due to the technical architecture of early implementations of the blockchain technology, the confidentiality was not really possible. Like we know, Bitcoin and like currently almost all the blockchain networks. And now with the TE technology adopted by Oasis in the Sapphire paradigm, it's finally becoming possible. And like, I'm really, really excited about it. So actually just also want to mention that public data disclosure leads to such incidents as Mu sandwich attacks, as also Ritwik mentioned today, and also copy trading that can lead to your trading strategy imbalanced, or even sometimes people are getting blackmailed. Like when their wallet addresses are matched with their real identities. So for those reasons, we believe that confidentiality itself is like really, really important. And the DEX adopting the confidentiality is just the first step towards the fully confidential Web3 ecosystem. And like, we're really excited that Sapphire is leading in this area.
Yeah, thank you for that thought, Eliza. It's nice to see that you're aligned with your ethos as well. That you see you have a similar vision for the future of blockchain. And yeah, I'm gonna stop here and give it back to you, Patrick. Thank you, Eliza, Ritwik, again for joining in.
Thanks so much. Thanks so much for having me. See you. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Thank you.
And I think I'm saying goodbye as well from Istanbul. Have a good day.
Thank you, Matej. Awesome. Now I have the pleasure to welcome Trent McConaughey, founder of Ocean Protocol to talk a little bit about a product that has been launched very recently in partnership with Oasis. So hello, Trent, how are you doing?
I'm pretty good. How are you?
All good, all good. Thank you for being here with us today.
Great, yes. And quick logistics. I see that my slides are up. Are you running the slides from your side, or do you want me to run from my side?
I think we're running from our side. You could just tell us and then we can move this.
Okay, sounds good. All good. Yeah, so should I get going or?
Yeah, go for it.
Okay, cool. Yeah, I'm Trent. I'm co-founder of Ocean. And yeah, I'll get started with a story and tell about what we have built on Oasis Sapphire. So I grew up on a farm in rural Canada. And every day during seeding and harvest in particular, we grew grain, by the way, and pigs, but lots of grain. And so when we were seeding, this is putting the grain into the ground in the spring and harvest, we would listen to the radio every hour on the hour all the time. My father was very adamant about it. And the reason is that's when the weather report was. That's when the weather report said it's going to rain. There's a 30% chance of rain in the next hour and the next half a day. Or there is 0% chance of rain for the next 12 hours, whatever it is. And that made a huge difference to our farming activities. If it said it's about to rain, then we would take the equipment from the fields and take them back into the farm, and vice versa too. If we hadn't been in the fields yet, and we saw that it was going to be clear for the next 6 hours, 12 hours, we would take the tractors out. So these weather forecasts, these weather predictions, especially in rain, made a huge difference to our activities on the farm and to livelihood as well. If because of the forecasts, we could more accurately plan what we're doing and take action more directly. So it was very valuable for us. Next step. So if you look around, actually, predictions are everywhere. This is a screenshot from Apple weather. Many of you probably know it. And from sunny, well, usually cloudy Berlin, where I am calling from right now. So hi, Istanbul, as well, and everyone else out there. And we're used to seeing these forecasts, the forecast of, in this case, we see that it's going to be cloudy through the rest of the day and temperature going from 20 to 25 degrees. So that's a couple different signals right there, right? The level of cloudiness and the temperature, and it also accounts for rain. So we're used to predictions everywhere. Next. Another example is this is global energy use versus time, and this is over the span of 40 years. From 1990 and going into the future as well, from 2022 onwards, including some breakdowns. So it's got past data, historical data for energy, as well as future predictions for the energy needs going from now until 2030. So those are predictions. They don't always come true, of course, but predictions are everywhere, and we are very used to them. Keep going. Next slide. Great. And so there's money in predictions. I gave some previous slides, but with this, my story from growing up on the farm, there's definitely money in predicting in agriculture, right? For wind and rain and all of that, and many other things too. What will be the predicted yield of this particular type of canola in this type of soil and this environment? Et cetera, et cetera. So there's a lot of money to be, if you can predict well in agriculture, it can serve you, it can save you money, it can make you money. Next slide. Not just agriculture, energy, right? If you, large nations build out power grids, and they want those grid supplies to be stable. If the grid, energy demand bounces up like crazy, there might not be means to supply it, and we could end up with brownouts, and we see that in some countries. So if you can predict energy needs over the decades, but even minute to minute, hour to hour, it makes a big difference, right? And so and it affects what you build for dams, etc. Real estate as well, right? Overall, we've seen real estate go steadily upwards over years and decades for the last few decades, but that's no guarantee, right? It's just what's happened. But month to month, year to year, it can still dip down. It can even dip down a lot, right? From climate change and other things happening. So there's money in predicting real estate. Keep going. logistics as well, right? Trying to determine how to get your manufactured widget from China to USA and into the hands of consumers. Next slide. Finance, of course. So if you are trading in crypto or in Wall Street stocks, all that, then if you know if the price of ETH or NVIDIA will go up in the next 5 minutes, then you probably want to buy and then sell 5 minutes later, et cetera, et cetera. So there's, and that's a very fast turnaround cycle, of course. So there's lots of money in predicting finance, and traditional finance has become extremely sophisticated in predicting. Next slide. But there's a big challenge, right? And the big challenge is it is hard to predict accurately. If you are wrong, who's accountable? So what we have here as an example is this is a prediction of Arctic sea ice. So the big ice shelves that are in the Arctic that the polar bears swim between, and that ships, if there's lots of ice, ships can't go through, et cetera, et cetera. And the macro trend, so this was predicted initially in 1950, and that was the prediction is the black line, and the light blue shading is the confidence intervals. So from 1950 till 2000, we see that the red line, what was actually observed, goes radically different compared to the black line, even way past the 95% confidence intervals. So in this case, people had predicted, oh yeah, we're going to be okay with ice in the Arctic and stuff. But what's happened is we have way less ice than ever expected, right? We thought by about this time we would have maybe, in this case, 7 million square kilometers, and it's more like 4.5 million, right? And if that extends the next 20 years, it's even worse now. So, but whoever made those climate model predictions, is there any, skin off their back or anything? And that's a problem, right? Because people make plans around this. Next slide. And even, on the forum, we were listening to the weatherman and his predictions. What if he's wrong, right? And the weatherman is often wrong, right? What then? It affected our choices of actions for whether to take the tractors out to the fields, etc. But the weatherman, doesn't affect him financially at all, right? So he could have completely random predictions day to day to day, and there would be sort of no skin off his back. That's a problem. Next slide. So our goal is prediction feeds. So time series, every 5 minutes, every hour, etc., of values that are decentralized with very specific benefits. The main thing is that you need to be accountable. And by being accountable, you can get accurate. It's set up, the vision is to have, 10,000 different prediction feeds for the planet, everything from rain forecasting to wind forecasting to energy forecasting, etc. But we're starting very specifically scoped and specifically narrow, but that's the vision overall. But even in the near term, at the heart of it, it needs to be accountable. If you predict correctly, you make money. If you predict wrongly, you lose money. And of course, all of the other goodness related to crypto, globally distributed, non-custodial, and critically, privacy preserving. And that's where Sapphire comes in, and I'll zoom in on that in a few slides later. So that's the goal, is decentralized prediction feeds. And the heart of it is to get accountable predictions. Here's the heart of it. It's skin in the game. You got to jump off the cliff with that prediction. And if you're correct, you make money. And if you're wrong, you lose money. That's the bottom line. And that's very different than predictions right now. So here's, so Ocean Protocol, it's a project that I co-founded in 2017, and we've been focusing on it ever since, all around leveling the playing field for data and AI. And we're one level up the stack of L1s. We build smart contracts and middleware such that you can tokenize data, and then have access control where I can give access to someone else simply by sending them an ERC20 token. And then data marketplaces, et cetera, on top. So that's been the Ocean products for years, and we keep evolving that and refining it. But the stack is quite general to do a lot of interesting things. And we saw that predictions, there's money in predictions, and that with blockchain technology, we could do something interesting that could really make an impact to the world. And it is decentralized prediction feeds. So, and the product is called Ocean Predictor. And of course, it's decentralized prediction feeds. So in it, there's two main types of actors. There's predictors who make predictions, and there's traders who buy predictions. We're zooming in and focusing on DeFi, but this generalizes, of course, too. So these predictors, every 5 minutes, they submit a prediction. Will ETH go up, yes or down, up or down in the next 5 minutes? And they stake against it. The more confident they are, the more they stake. Then traders can come along and buy those feeds. They typically buy 24-hour subscriptions, and they get the aggregated feed. It's the stake-weighted aggregate of the individual predictions. And then they use that to trade against. They use it as alpha side by side with all of their other fields. So that's the basic idea. There's predictors submitting predictions, and then the aggregated prediction feeds get made available to traders or otherwise for what they do. And it's all running on Sapphire. Next slide. So this is what we have a web app that's there simply for people to get a feel of what this looks like. So you can go to predictor.ai and check it out for yourself. And you'll see what we have is predictions, 5 minutes ahead, up-down predictions for the next 5 minutes for the top 10 tokens by market cap. So Bitcoin, Ethereum, etc. And we make the Bitcoin feed for free. And we also have it for 60 minutes, same tokens and Bitcoin free. So you can see how it's doing. And there's confidence intervals too. So it's, say, 52% plus or minus 6%, etc. And on average, with our internal experiments, I have come from an AI background for more than 20 years. So from our internal experiments, we're getting accuracies of 52 to 65%. And that is reflected if you go to predictor.ai and you see that. So we're pretty happy with that. And the idea of this is to help you build your mental model of what's going on. But the real usage is, and of course you can look at a prediction and then go to Binance or otherwise and buy or sell or whatever. But the real usage is in the bots. So next slide, please. So of course, if you want to do lots of trading, you don't want to sit there all day long and stare at the screen. Click up. If it's up, you buy. If it's down, you sell. What about more sophisticated? So you really want bots running. And so we have it set up where we have a special repo called PDR backend. It's linked from the top right of predictor.ai, and you can run a bot to do predictions. And it has templates where you can go in and put in your own AI models and your own data and stuff. But we have good defaults. We have templates that people can just take and get running within 5 minutes. And same thing for traders, right? A simple trading bot that is, if signal says up, then buy. If signal says down, then sell. And of course, you can get more sophisticated, but this is a starting point for people. So, and of course, other people can run their own bots, and there can be lots and lots of agents in this overall system, of course. Next slide. Yeah, so overall, if you are, the name of the game, sort of the idea of the Predictor project is make it really easy for people to make money in this emerging data economy, right? So how do you make money if you're a predictor? Well, run a prediction bot and you make money. I'll show in a second. Actually, I probably don't. So if you run a predictor bot, it's like I mentioned before, if you're right, you get paid. And if you're wrong, you get slashed. And the money is coming from two main places. The traders who are buying the feeds, that money that they spend to buy the feeds goes pro rata to the predictors based on their accuracy and whether and their stake. And then the second way that predictors make money is we have an incentives program called Ocean Data Farming, and there is 37,000 Ocean worth of tokens and 100,000 Ocean worth of Rose tokens every week. So that's about $15,000 US these days. So if you run a predictor bot, then you can, take part in those incentives as well. And then a trader, the main way you make money there is, of course, you've got alpha. So if you make more, if you buy low and sell high consistently, or vice versa, great. So that's how make money. Next slide. And zooming in on Sapphire for a couple slides. So within this, we had very specific privacy needs. So the predictor smart contracts, they take in the predictions that are submitted by the predictors, and they also provide the aggregate value. And that's where the privacy challenges arise. These submitted predictions need to stay private. The final aggregated predictions need to stay private. And the compute, the weighted sum, that also needs to stay private. So three things need to stay private. Next slide. And we did actually quite a few different tech spikes on a lot of different technologies that were out there with, working with everything from homomorphic encryption to various ways to do TEE in various places, MPC and more. And we found from our experiences that by far the cleanest approach was to have it all on the EVM chain, private. And there's only one confidential EVM chain out there, and that is Sapphire. So it made Oasis Sapphire an obvious choice for us for this project. So we engaged with the Oasis team early this year, and we've been working closely with them ever since, and it's gone very well. So we're really happy with what Sapphire, the chain, offers, and what the Oasis team, how the Oasis team has been in terms of collaboration. So, and at the heart, as you all know from these talks, at the heart of Oasis Sapphire is the Intel SGX TE. So yeah, we're very happy with Oasis, and Sapphire has enabled us to ship Predictor in a high quality fashion. Next slide. Yes, data farming, I mentioned that already. So it's, 37,000 ocean, 100,000 rows every week, which depending on the price of the day, it's 12,000, 15,000, 18,000, $20,000 US dollars every week worth of incentives if you run a predictor. And that's spread across all the predictors, of course. And yeah, we went through 3 stages of shipping. Testnet just over 8 weeks ago, mainnet just over 4 weeks ago, and data farming, the incentives program, last week. So yeah, everything is live now. Next. So that is what I shared today to you all is Ocean Predictor, which at the heart of it, it crowdsources AI-powered predictions. And the dollar demand for this is by traders for alpha, and it is privacy preserving via Oasis Sapphire. So check it out at predictor.ai, and from there, run your own bot, take part in data farming, whatever you like. So that's all. Thank you very much, and yeah, I'll pass it back to Patrick. Go ahead.
Wonderful. Thank you so much, Trent. Inspiring talk as usual. And guys, if you want to check it out, predictor.ai, predictor double wall. Thank you so much, Trent.
Thank you.
See you in the next one.
Bye.
So now we move to the last panel of today. Happy to invite on stage Will Wendt, our ecosystem growth manager, who will be hosting this session with our guests, Steve Yu, VP of Business Development at Seller Network, and Tyree Robinson, Head of Ecosystem at Alright Chain. Thank you so much for being here with us, guys.
Hi, Steve. Hi, Tyree. Thank you guys so much for joining us. I guess a great place to get in is just tell us a bit about your project. Maybe, Steve, you want to go first and tell us a bit about what Seller IM is, or Seabridge as well.
Sure. Hi, everyone. I'm Steve, the head of BD at Seller Network. Great to be here. So Seller is probably best known within the blockchain space for our bridge, Seabridge, where it supports nearly about 50 chains and 200 different tokens. And we enable those tokens to be bridged from one chain to another. And I think we've done that well with about nearly 18 billion in transaction volume since we started. So at its core, I would say Seller is a blockchain interoperability protocol. In fact, we enable one-click user experience of accessing tokens, DeFi, GameFi, NFT, governance, privacy solutions, and more across multiple chains. So as an interoperability infrastructure provider, developers can easily build their dApps using our general messaging passing SDK for efficient liquidity utilization, coherent application logic, and things like that. So again, happy to be here and answer more in-depth questions as we go in. Thanks.
Awesome. Thanks so much. And we're happy to sort of collaborate with all aspects of that, the Seller's sort of stack. Tyree, do you want to tell us a bit about Alright Chain, what you guys are doing?
Absolutely. And it's great to see you, Will. Yeah, so Alright Chain is a Cosmos-based layer 1. We're building at the intersection of AI and blockchain in particular. We were founded back in 2020. Our mission is to close the gap between intent and execution with the use of AI. A major part of this is sort of ensuring that the infrastructure is in place for developers and end users to fluidly move throughout the multi-chain ecosystem that we see today, taking advantage of opportunities wherever they exist. So as a Cosmos-based network, IBC has obviously been proven to be a very effective way, safe standard for passing data, messages, and of course tokens throughout the ecosystem. But in order to sort of extend our interoperability with EVM chains, Chain Labs has also developed Orion Bridge. And that's a fully decentralized solution with its own set of validators for asset transfers, currently supporting Ethereum, BNB Chain, Tron, and soon Oasis Sapphire. Until now, Orion Bridge has really been focused primarily on asset transfers, but as we announced sort of last month, Chain Labs is upgrading its bridge to include general message passing as well, which is going to allow developers both on our network and beyond in the Cosmos ecosystem to take advantage of Oasis privacy layer. And yeah, I look forward to getting into more of it a little bit later.
Yeah, absolutely. So I guess a good place to start is, what is a general message passing bridge? Maybe how does it differ also from a token bridge? Maybe Steve, you want to start off, and then Tyree, you can add your thoughts as well.
Yeah. Token bridging. When we first started, it was it's the simple things. Let's say someone has an asset on Ethereum and they want to bridge it to Orion Chain or Oasis or Binance, and there are different solutions that simply bridge the asset over, whether it's lock-in mint or liquidity asset bridging. So there's a number of ways to solve that. So it's just an asset going from point A to point B, whereas in general message passing, there's going to be additional commands that we can put into once the asset is bridged over, what you would like to do with it. So we have a number of use cases where different projects are using from cross-chain borrowing to lending, cross-chain collateralization, cross-chain reward claiming. Matter of fact, PancakeSwap allows users to open a position on one chain and allow the user to collect their reward token cake on Binance using Seller's general message passing. So to do this, Seller uses smart contracts that are deployed on each chain, paired with the State Guardian Network, which is a Tendermint-based blockchain, in order to enable this seamless blockchain interoperability, which it can be probably broken down into 3 steps. One is to send a message or invoke a smart contract function cross-chain. So a user or a dApp will first send their intention as a message with a structure header and arbitrary binary payload to a message bus on the source chain. Then the validator will first reach this consensus on the existence of such a message to multi-signature attestation, I would say, and then is relayed to the destination via an executor that's subscribing to this message. And lastly, the third piece is on the destination chain, the same message bus contract exists to check the validity of the message and triggers this corresponding logic associated with the message, either immediately or after a time is out. So that's how it works in general. And we are supporting a wide spectrum of various projects using our general message passing, as I mentioned, from cross-chain borrowing to lending. And in the beginning of when we first launched the C Bridges token bridging, we just saw vast majority of the projects requesting the support of their asset being bridged. But as time progressed, and having this sort of a bird's eye view of how interoperability and multi-chain assets are being utilized, we were quickly seeing about 3 to 5% of the top projects that are working with us on token bridging move towards general message passing as they expanded their multi-chain strategy. So that was an interesting thing to see. And we're certainly seeing a lot more projects request for general message passing on top of the asset bridging.
Yeah, that's awesome to hear. Tyree, do you have any other thoughts maybe about how your message passing will work, or
I guess just to really quickly sort of add to that, I think the biggest thing that I think is worth discussing, obviously Seller is also Tendermint based, right, is the security of these bridges being properly decentralized. Both of our bridging solutions are responsible for translating, right, messages through a bunch of different networks that might have different formats, different structures for these messages, right? And so the consensus of each of these networks and being able to rely on our solutions in order to actually pass the correct message to the right destination is really important. It's just an important addition to that. So really important, especially to have this be a decentralized solution, have zero single point of failure there. So yeah, that's all.
Yeah, and I think we saw, you know, the importance of this over the last few years, and maybe not in message passing bridges, but in general bridges, you know, having it being exploited. And I think both your bridging projects, you know, have sort of come out of that unscathed. So congratulations on that. I guess the next sort of question I have is, you know, we talked a bit about message passing. How do you guys see, you know, this working with privacy? Where do you see message passing working in the privacy space, and what kind of use cases or what kind of functions do you think that this will enable? Maybe Tyree, you can start this time, and Steve, you can add.
Yeah, absolutely. So first off, I just want to highlight one other thing is that while we've had a lot of EVM hacks in the past, you know, anybody's welcome to go do a quick IBC search on how many IBC hacks there have been, and you'll find that that's 0 cents in the IBC hacks, right? And there's been no money lost from IBC hacks. It's another reason why our solutions end up being really great in comparison to some of the other EVM bridges that are out there. But specifically related to why we're interested in bringing privacy, we have a bunch of CW20 tokens and communities that are building on Arai chain right now. And when, you know, Will, you originally introduced OPL to me earlier in the year before you had even launched it, I believe, maybe even it was towards the tail end of last year, you know, it was a really intriguing value prop for us, you know, enabling anybody to be able to, you know, in the governance sense, being able to cast their vote without exposing their wallet or, you know, any other private information that can be extrapolated from revealing a wallet address. So, you know, the idea here that somebody on Arai chain can initiate their governance vote, be able to have that logic executed really privately over on Oasis Sapphire, and then have that result passed back to Arai chain for execution without ever revealing any preference of the user is really intriguing to us. We just obviously heard from Trent over at Ocean. We have a project currently on Arai chain that is building a prediction market as well called NestQuant that is also going to follow a very similar pathway in terms of submitting private predictions. So in these couple of ways, we find it very valuable to Arai chain itself. And then with the use of interchain accounts, we hope that we're going to be able to pass off that benefit to the rest of the Cosmos ecosystem. So yeah, I'll pass it over to you, Steve.
Thanks for that, Tyree. Those are some excellent points. And just to make some noise for the seller as well, along with Tyree's side, you know, seller has been upholding our privacy and security as a key pillar for some time. And to that success, none of our partners nor our users have ever lost money. And in fact, MetaMask was very gracious to integrate our technology on the bridging aggregation of the MetaMask wallet. So this space is, you know, anytime we think about privacy, we get excited, and especially when it comes to the Oasis privacy layer, the way we're thinking about, you know, supporting OPL is enabling the OPL to communicate back and forth with the other EVM and Cosmos chains. So we could talk to my friend like Tyree from the perspective of a multi-chain application. So using OPL is similar to sending generalized messages to another chain. It's just that once the message reaches the Oasis, specifically the Sapphire paradigm, the part of the application that lives on Oasis can now confidentially and privately inherent to Sapphire. So now the same process works the other way around. Once the confidential computations are done on one Sapphire, this application can send the results via the Oasis privacy layer, which again then uses seller IM to a non-confidential EVM or to another Cosmos chain. So I would just add to that.
Yeah, absolutely. I guess like the way I always think about it is it's offloading your confidential computation needs to the Sapphire network, sort of like a side chain or something along those lines. So we did already get into this question a bit earlier, but my last question for today was going to be around the differences that you see between EVM chains and IBC chains, whether it's on a security side, on like the sort of smart contract syntax side, or maybe even like just what an integration takes with like maybe Tyree, you can go into how connecting to a ride chain connects actually to all of Cosmos. But yeah, I was just wondering if you had any last minute thoughts on that. I know we sort of discussed it earlier.
Yeah, I guess the only other thing that I would add to what I said earlier, I guess let me just recap, right, is that we had obviously there's differences in language, differences in token standards, even sort of within the Cosmos ecosystem. Not every chain is CosmWasm, right? You have Secret Wasm, you have Agoric doing hardened JavaScript smart contracts, you have EVMs, you have Injective with their Solana virtual machine that they're building there, right? So being able to standardize the types of message and be able to deliver those messages in a standardized way to their destination is really important. We talked about security a little bit earlier, but I just want to reiterate that part of why IBC works really well is it trusts in the honesty of the chain that's delivering the message, and that honesty is achieved through consensus, right? So being able to actually have that 2/3 consensus on our chains really allows us to know that we're passing the right message to the right destination, and that it hasn't been tampered with. And then I guess the sort of the final thing that I'll say here with relation to this is having to do with gas fees. Within Cosmos ecosystem, anybody that's familiar, there's a lot of drama always, right? Everybody wants Atom to be used as a gas fee everywhere, but all of our sovereign chains, we all have our own gas tokens, right? So not every chain is going to want to adopt a single gas token. So we want to be able to abstract away that issue and allow anybody that wants to take advantage of this to pay in whatever token they would like. So this is a part of our design, and we'll be releasing the specs for that in the next couple of weeks. So yeah, that's it for me.
Awesome. Any closing thoughts on that as well, Steve?
Yeah, I think I'm certainly with in the Tyree of thinking as well. He certainly made those valid points. And personally, from my side, I think after supporting about 50 blockchains, including Ethmos, which is IBC friendly, and EVM, with token bridging, our team has become really familiar with supporting the IBC and the Cosmos side as well. Now, as it relates to the general message passing for Cosmos network, Stellar IM does require users to enable CosmWasm. I think it's the Cosmos WebAssembly module to handle generalized computations. Other than that, the development experience should be pretty similar to the EVM compatibles that we supported, nearly 50 of them. And we also have a simple plug and play SDK, and our team gets really close with the integration. So there's hardly any heavy lifting on your end. So we'd love to work with you guys, and you can find more information about us on stellar.network.
Awesome. Thank you so much, guys. And thank you guys for being partners and collaborators with us as we sort of act on this mission to bring the Oasis Sapphire, privacy and confidentiality functionality, not just to, our native chain, but, to the whole Web3 space, because I think that's where we really can see, the next generation of, more sophisticated smart contracts with like better user experiences, so that we can better compete with our sort of traditional world and our Web2. And you guys are great partners and, helping us facilitate that. So thank you so much. And thank you for joining the call today.
Thank you.
Thank you, guys. Thank you, Steve, Tyree, Will. Wonderful. I mean, this multi-chain world is definitely fundamental for Web3 to grow. So thank you for the collaboration.
Thanks, everyone.
Cool. So I think now we're coming to a close of our meetup today. I'd like to thank everybody who has joined us. And just before we go, I'd like just to share what other events we're participating at Devconnect. So we have really a very full agenda on site in Istanbul. We have Epic Infra Day coming up tomorrow. We have Decentralized Scaling Summit the day after, Evolution House Istanbul, Devconnect in partnership with the Universal Privacy Alliance, Open Data GNU, and the Wallet Unconference on November 17th, which, if I'm not mistaken, is Saturday. So, but that's not all. I would like also to announce our next big event, which is the grand finale of our hackathon, the Privacy for Web3. We have announced already the winners, but now we'll have a show with the winners where you can meet all the different solutions, meet the teams, and I think it's going to be like a wonderful time to talk with the builders who are building these wonderful solutions for the Oasis ecosystem. So with this, I thank you. Hopefully you have a good time in Istanbul or wherever you are in the world, and see you next time. Cheers.